The guy just shoved 2 blades straight into my heart. He even smirked, thinking he had finished me off right there. But he froze when he saw that I didn't even flinch. My health bar didn't take any damage at all. The guy desperately tried to strike me again, but I just grabbed his shoulder with complete calm, and I surrounded the poor guy with soldiers ready to blow everything to pieces. Now their boss is on his knees begging for mercy, and I simply let them know that I was sending all 3 of them straight to the underworld. But to understand how I got to this point, it all started years ago, when a little boy was cornered in the forest, surrounded by level 5 gray wolves, with the hungry beasts leaping straight at him, making the little guy close his eyes and scream in despair, waiting for the worst to happen. But several beams of light cut through the air, slicing the monsters before they could even touch him, leaving all the wolves dead on the ground, while a calm voice told him everything was okay now. The boy opens his eyes, still crying, unable to believe he actually escaped death, and sees a man reaching out his hand to take him safely back to the city, only finding out at the gates that his savior was Luo Jianing, the great hero from the Destiny Pact Association. Years go by, and now our main character Chen Shi sits on the stairs complaining about only awakening as a shadow mage, thinking that this class isn't completely useless, but it's way too common for someone who had big dreams, since if the skeletons get wiped out, the 10-minute cooldown leaves the mage useless in a party, turning into dead weight on the battlefield to the point where nobody wants to team up with him. He pulls up his status window frustrated because his spiritual power test scored 150 points, but his level 0 stats are still extremely basic with nothing special, even though a score above 105 should already give a chance at a triple S rank hidden class, considering that besides him the only person in the entire class to surpass 105 was Manhwa, who hit 110 points while he got 40 points more than her. Right then the academy announcer calls out in the courtyard that Manhwa awakened the triple S rank hidden class Voidwalker, showing the girl glowing in the center of the magic circle surrounded by spatial energy, while the crowd of students goes crazy with jealousy and starts whispering when they see Chen Shi nearby. Since our boy knows very well that the difference between her class and his is massive, he starts worrying about next month's recruitment, afraid of letting Mr. Luo down. Since the Destiny Pact Association is the top guild in the country and gathers the best elite geniuses, sending evaluators every year straight to the top academies looking for new talent. But even though they evaluate overall performance, everyone knows they only want rare and hidden classes, leaving any student with a common class with basically 0 chance of passing the test. Chen Shi walks quietly through the crowd that won't stop flattering the prodigy girl, while Manhwa watches all the commotion with her classmates waving at her, keeping a serious and indifferent attitude in front of all that chaos in the courtyard. Time passes under the quiet afternoon light filtering through the treetops, and the boy finally arrives at the Jiang City second shelter home, letting the caretaker on the stairs know he's not hungry for dinner and is heading straight to his room, leaving the woman worried as she suspects his awakening didn't go so well. He enters the room and closes the door to be alone with his thoughts, and throws himself onto the bed feeling discouraged because hard work feels pointless against natural talent. But he quickly tries to cheer up by remembering that a common class can still grow with focus and good gear, promising himself that he'll do his best to reach Mr. Luo in the future, determined to never throw in the towel even if the road is way harder. Suddenly, a system window pops up in front of him showing a 50% update progress, with the system progress bar loading up quickly until it hits 100%, leaving our main character confused since class systems are never supposed to update. And upon opening the main panel, everything still looks totally normal with the exact same stats as before, showing the skeleton summon skill with the same 10-minute cooldown. But when he swipes to the side, he gets startled by a brand new tab he has never seen before, revealing the golden trait Arcane Grace, which unlocks a new one every 5 levels, leaving his jaw on the floor because in 3 years of theory classes nobody ever taught them about traits in the system. Focusing his attention directly on the effect of the Arcane Grace trait that just appeared, which details how all of the boy's magic skills work from now on, highlighting loud and clear that all of his spells now have 0 cooldown. Chen Shi jumps out of bed stuttering, unable to believe what he just read on the screen, and lets out a shout so loud that even the orphanage caretaker hears it outside the house, because cooldown reduction items cost a fortune and he literally has 0 cooldown at all. Excitedly calculating that with 100 mana he can summon 10 times in a row and spawn 20 skeletons all at once, activating the skill that very second and filling the room with summons, realizing that as his mana increases he'll be able to summon an infinite army without waiting at all, dreaming big about commanding an entire legion with giant skeletal dragons in the future, and feeling certain that leveling up like crazy will secure his spot in the Destiny Pact Association, heading down the stairs with his skeletons right behind him to clear the beginner dungeon and scaring the lady on the way. With a confident smile on his face promising he'll make Mr. Luo super proud. In the dungeon lobby, several adventurer parties get ready to enter the portals, with fully geared warriors and mages forming their hunting teams, while Chen Shi arrives at the entrance of the beginner trial grounds and sees barely anyone around, instantly remembering the harsh words he had to hear right after his awakening finished, when his ex Chen Lucy dumped him saying she awakened a rare class and didn't want anything to do with him anymore, alongside the rich brat Xing Wei who mocked our protagonist telling him to go play with his skeletons, showing that in this cruel world whoever gets a common class gets cast aside without mercy. And worst of all, nobody wants to party up with Chen Shi out of fear of upsetting the spoiled heir, making the other students whisper that it's not worth getting on the bad side of powerful people, forcing our main character to take on the beginner dungeon completely solo to level up. He steps through the blue portal without hesitation, watched from afar by a masked guy, who keeps a close eye on the boy's every move in the lobby, opening up a communicator to let his boss Jiang Manhwa know that Chen Shi already entered the trial grounds. Stepping into the hall, the system warns that the dungeon is for below level 10, and monster strength goes up each floor, also warning that crossing the safe zone aggroes the monsters and prevents any retreat during combat. But Chen Shi takes his first step out of the blue circle without showing the slightest fear, causing several hungry monsters to emerge from the shadows looking for fresh meat, which are level 1 glowing rats ready to attack any intruder that gets close, which start charging in a pack straight at our main character. While the boy analyzes the situation, knowing that beginners without a party usually die easily when mobs gather, planting his feet firmly as a dark mist begins to rise beneath his legs, channeling power into his staff to set up a heavy defensive line in front of him, and activating the magic in his staff, he casts his summon without thinking twice, raising his weapon into the air and unleashing a massive whirlwind of magical energy into the hall, unleashing the summoning spell, from where multiple skeletal warriors in armor and helmets emerge ready for war, thanks to the arcane grace trait glowing on top allowing him to span the spell endlessly, emptying his entire mana bar all at once to test the limit of the skill, but summoning 40 skeletons in one go to make sure nothing gets past him. Our protagonist's army takes over the entire hall, marching straight toward the rodents, while the rats rush forward furiously, not knowing the massive danger they are about to face, until Chen Shi points his staff forward, giving the direct order to attack, ordering his soldiers to wipe out every single monster that dares take a step in the hall, making the undead let out a terrifying roar, cleaving the first beasts in half with absolute ease and splattering blood everywhere, generating the first notification on screen confirming 10 experience points for the kill, with kill notifications popping up one after another as his troops run down the enemies, leaving numerous bodies lying on the ground, giving the monsters zero chance to react, while our boy walks calmly behind his summon platoon, stacking up more experience as his warriors crush the remaining creatures. He stretches out his finger to check the results on the floating screen, celebrating that he managed to jump from level 0 to level 1 in less than 10 minutes, realizing that hunting solo gives way more experience than splitting points in a 5-person party, getting 5 free stat points to distribute wherever he wants. And without hesitating for a single second, Chen Shi dumps everything into intelligence, knowing very well that for mages intelligence boosts both damage and total mana, which is exactly what he needs right now to expand his personal army, watching his mana cap jump to 250 points to summon even more allies, while the skeletons finish clearing the first floor, allowing him to move through the hallway surrounded by a living wall of armed warriors. Chen Shi heads down the flight of stone steps toward the next floor of the dungeon, reaching the second layer of the dungeon where more monsters await him. He is already totally prepared for a brawl, when a pack of gray wolves roars furiously, being level 2 monsters that grant 20 experience points per kill, and with a single command our main character refreshes his troops without wasting any time, making the skeletons charge the beasts. The beasts don't even know how to react, slicing the beasts down in seconds and filling Chen Shi's screen with 20 experience point bonuses, leveling the boy up yet again. The boy enjoys the feeling of rising power as he looks at the system, seeing his status show level 2 with 45% progress completed, while his soldiers keep relentlessly wiping out the remaining wolves, taking down the predators with total ease, leading a massive pile of defeated monsters along the path, while Chen Shi pushes forward without taking a single scratch alongside his guards, until a giant serpent appears from around the pillars, surrounding the boy with several massive snakes heading straight his way, making our main character launch a counterattack, raising his weapon in the air to channel more power, and immediately giving the attack order, and the undead leap full force toward the snakes, securing 30 experience points for every bell serpent slain in battle, cutting down even the ones trying to strike before they could touch the soldiers. 2 hours passed and the hall is covered in carcasses of defeated wolves and serpents, with Chen Shi celebrating that he reached level 5 in just 3.5 hours of intense hunting, tapping the screen to check the new skill and trait unlocked by the level milestone, finding an explosive skull icon on the panel ready to be activated, and grinning widely upon seeing that corpse explosion costs 0 mana and has 0 cooldown. Chen Shi heads down the stone staircase of the dungeon, with his undead army marching right behind him ready to storm the next sector, and heads straight toward the portal leading to the 5th floor. As soon as he gets there, he runs into massive monsters, which are the fearsome level 5 armored rhino lizards with iron spikes on their backs, which let out deafening roars blocking the path of any intruder. But our main character smirks, thinking it's perfect to use these elite monsters as test subjects, raising his staff into the air to kick off another speed clear session, and steps through the portal light ready to begin the slaughter. He steps into the arena, triggering the aggro radius of the armored beasts, positioning his skeleton troops on the front line to surround the targets, while the lizards charge forward to trample anyone in their way. But Chen Shi commands his units to push forward and spread out across the hall, and activating Corpse Explosion without any mercy, making the skeletal warriors glow a fiery red right in the middle of the monsters, unleashing a devastating blast that shatters the first lizard's shell and grants 50 experience, followed by a chain reaction of explosions that sweeps the room and stacks up points on the screen, allowing him to instantly summon a fresh wave of skeletons to replace the ones that exploded, and right after order them to detonate everything again on the remaining enemies. In the middle of all that red glare, the system dings, alerting him to a new golden trait unlocked, prompting the young man to tap the screen with curiosity to check what he got, discovering the Soul Pact Guardian trait, which transfers 100% of incoming damage directly to his minions, which means that with infinite summons and 0 cooldown he has basically become immortal. Right as that moment, another enraged lizard roars loudly and charges straight at him, with our main character calmly noticing that one of the monsters managed to break through the line and stops right in front of him, only to strike at our boy immediately after, knocking Chen Shi backward from the force of the blow. But the soul protection trait activates instantly on the panel, transferring all the damage to one of the skeletons whose body shatters on the spot, sending the creature's head flying into pieces while our main character loses not a single drop of health. Chen Shi gets up immediately without a scratch and orders instant retaliation against the monster, with one of his summons leaping onto the monster, driving its blade straight into the beast's snout and securing 50 more experience points, before blowing up the beast's body for good with another corpse explosion right in its face. Chen Shi steadies his footing on the stone floor as the dust settles and silence takes over the room, seeing the dungeon completely cleared out and feeling his stomach growl with hunger after the intense grind. Realizing he spent the entire night hunting and that it's time to grab some food at the market, he puts his hands in his pockets and strolls calmly toward the dungeon exit portal, responding in the busy lobby where other adventurers are still talking loudly, catching the attention of that exact same masked informant who is keeping watch near the pillars, who discreetly activates his perception skill to check the boy's level from behind, watching the system reticle lock onto the kid and clearly display level 5 on the screen, making the spy widen his eyes and break into a cold sweat, unable to believe it, pressing the buttons on his wrist communicator that very second to report this insanity, opening a holographic call with Jiang Mengwei to report that the boy just exited the trials, leaving the girl shocked to hear that Chen Shi already hit level 5 in just a few hours. In the massive Jiang family mansion, the girl tells her father to stop pacing back and forth in the living room, while flipping through an ancient book filled with magic circle diagrams on the table, saying she's already getting dizzy watching the man act so anxious in front of her. But her father insists that she can study theory later, and the top priority right now is leveling up, to which Jiang Mengwei casually replies that with a hidden class her spot in the guild is already locked in. The man slams his hand on the table, irritated by his daughter's overconfidence, reminding her that he is the recruiter in charge of tying Yuan Academy for the Destiny Pact, prompting the young woman to snap the book shut to end the argument, saying she's going to grab a bite before hunting monsters in the open field to level up, leaving her father grumbling alone, thinking he spoiled the girl way too much. Suddenly, the communicator on Jiang Mengwei's wrist beeps with an urgent message, bringing up the informant's projection, reporting that Chen Shi just left the dungeon at level 5, while her father appears behind her telling her to hurry up, eat and go train, telling her to try hitting level 5 before dark while the girl stands shocked by Chen Shi's speed. Curious, she asks her father what he knows about the beginner trial grounds, and the veteran scowls, immediately warning that that place is a true death trap, explaining that although it gives slightly more experience, the hunting efficiency there is terrible, stating that even for someone with a hidden class, taking 10 hours to complete that trial would be fast, leaving the young woman even more amazed knowing that Chen-Shi cleared everything in just 2 hours, asking him what he would think if someone pulled that off as just a shadow mage, to which the man scoffs, saying that class is far too weak and strictly forbids his daughter from setting foot there. He takes the chance to ask if there was any other standout student in the class awakening besides her, becoming intrigued when his daughter confirms that she did see someone very promising, but she walks away playfully, saying she won't spill anything since he banned her from the dungeon, with the man insisting he only wanted to know about the performance of the 5 students who got rare classes, while Jiang Menguai smiles at the door, saying she barely even knows those rookies. Saying goodbye to her father, who is left baffled by the prodigy girl's stubbornness, she walks out of the room, ordering the spy over the comms to keep tracking Chen-Shi at the Grand Shenqian restaurant. On the bustling streets of Tianyi City, adventurers move around the central plaza, while Chen-Shi walks calmly along the stone sidewalks of the noble district, stopping in front of the city's most luxurious restaurant, famous for its culinary masters, taking in the architecture of the masses building that gathers the hunter elite, knowing that dishes from the hidden class chef temporarily buff the customer's stats. But seeing the insane prices, the young man decides to eat at a street stall to save money. Just then Jing Wei and Chen Lucy show up in the middle of the plaza, escorted by a team, with a spoiled air glaring at Chen-Shi with an arrogant look, mocking our main character out loud for still wandering around the city without leveling up, asking where all that spiritual test genius swagger went, humiliating the boy for wearing plain white cloth while he flexes full armor, bragging about being almost level 3 with an elite squad paid for by his own dad, to which Chen-Shi just looks with disgust and tells the rich boy to shut up and get lost, making Xingwei's face boil with rage after being confronted so boldly, with the hulking bodyguard stepping forward to corner our boy, while the ex-girlfriend watches the scene in silence without saying a single word to defend the kid, keeping a cold expression as if that was entirely his problem. But out of nowhere, a perfect long-legged dropkick lands square on Xingwei's chest, sending the rich brat flying to the ground with a thud that echoes across the whole street, making the playboy scream furiously from the ground, demanding to know what idiot dared to hit him, until he looks up and freezes in sheer terror, seeing Jiang Menwai standing there with a deadly glare, starting to sweat cold and stammer that it was all just a harmless misunderstanding, getting chased off immediately by the girl who orders the entire group to scram, while Xing Wei retreats in hatred, wanting Chen-Shi not to cross his path when he's alone, with Chen Lucy following the defeated bully without looking back, and our protagonist muttering under his breath that the feeling of disgust is completely mutual. Yang Menguai turns to Chen-Shi with a lovely smile, inviting him to eat on her tab, but the boy thanks her for the backup and politely declines the offer, noticing she's surrounded by high-level family-hired veterans and listening to her proposal to form a party, knowing that in parties with more than a 15-level gap the experience penalty is massive, while the young woman insists by offering better gear to smooth out the boy's journey. But Chen-Shi calmly waves off the offer and heads on his way to eat alone in peace. Later in the party dungeon lobby, adventurers organize themselves to hunt. Our boy is also right there, walking with the masked informant tailing right behind him, making the spy confused by the boy's presence in the exclusive party-only wing, since there's only the level 5 Ice Mole Cave and the level 10 Hell Pit over there. While several full squads activate the teleport circles to enter, Chen-Shi steps onto the teleport pad completely alone, drawing looks from armored warriors who think it's crazy for someone to stand there without a team, opening his system window to select the party dungeon, confirming solo entry with a single tap on the yes option on screen, vanishing into the pillar of magic light right before the spy's disbelieving eyes, who is stunned to realize the Shadow Mage is going to solo a party dungeon all by himself. This is the Icefield Rift, inside the Ice Mole Cave, a standard dungeon with 3 zones that ends at the final boss lair. After stepping through the portal, our boy will have to take down 150 moles, 3 elites, and the terrifying Ice Mole King, complaining about the freezing cold while the panel notes that tougher dungeons yield better loot. Determined to solo everything to get gold and better items without relying on anyone in a party, he begins walking through the soft snow, leaving footprints behind. Gripping his staff, he channels more energy, casting his summons, forming a massive legion of armed fighters blanketing the entire mountain valley, with the skeleton troops wielding shields and swords ready for battle. Right then, a pack of level 5 ice moles burrows out of the ground, yielding 70 experience points per kill, And since skeletons have no flesh, the monster's aggro stays completely locked onto the front line, allowing our protagonist's warriors to slash down the rodents without a shred of mercy, slicing through the creatures with total ease and flooding the screen with experience gain pop-ups, making Chen-Shi realize the monsters here give way more points and even drop gear and gold, finding it almost boring to just stand back watching while picking up the dropped loot, pushing forward with his personal guard toward the cave entrance where the elite zone is located. Suddenly, heavy ice blocks shatter from the ceiling, crashing down with a roar, revealing the elite ice maul wearing a metal helm and having very low area of effect magic resistance, making our main character look at the beast with a calculating gaze, extending his hand to order his skeletons to surround the monster from every side, with the summons encircling the beast giving it zero chance to escape. In the very next second, Chen-Shi gives the order to blow it up with corpse explosion, triggering an insane explosion that strips hundreds of health points from the monster all at once, making the mole drop dead in the snow and securing 300 experience points for the boy, while a blue item drop glow appears floating over the monster's body, revealing the blue tier ice mole cloak which gives 13 intelligence and increases max mana, allowing him to summon over 20 extra skeletons to speed up the slaughter even more, tapping the system window to equip the new piece immediately, putting on the cloak that makes the young man look like a high-ranking mage. 2 more elite mauls emerge, but Chen-Shi just stands his ground without backing up a single inch. As the monsters rush forward, our main character points his staff, giving the command for the summons to attack, which charge in quickly, tearing the 2 elite creatures to shreds in a matter of seconds with coordinated strikes, washing the frozen floor in blood, and completely clearing the second area of the dungeon. 20 minutes later, our guy walks through the ice rifts without showing any fatigue, reaching the dreaded boss zone, where 2 glowing eyes stare right at him, from where the Ice Mole King emerges wearing plate armor and a crown. But to me, it just looks like a giant rat, making the boy summon even more units, ordering all of his soldiers to advance to pin down and blow up the monster leader, with the skeletons marching straight onto the big boss, surrounding the creature from every side, climbing up the giant's body and latching onto its armor, making the boss roar as the skeletons activate corpse explosion, unleashing the first massive shockwave that shatters the boss's defenses, followed by a devastating chain of explosions that sets the entire ice chamber ablaze, slamming the giant monster face first into the ground completely charred and lifeless, securing 1,000 experience points for the boss kill and clearing the dungeon with a perfect rank. Chen-Shi taps the claim rewards button, and gets shocked to see the 2 rare purple pieces dropped on his very first solo run, admiring the beautiful ice marrow bone staff carved with a glowing crystal on top. Reading the stats, they give 30 intelligence, 300 mana, and boost corpse explosion, getting fully geared up with a new staff, boots, and cloak, pushing his power and summon limit even higher, and right after he hits the dungeon exit option to head back to the lobby. Outside, the masked informant yawns in boredom near the teleportation circle, when Chen-Shi pops back up in the lobby, making the scout assume our protagonist gave up halfway through since he returned in just 20 minutes. Until he takes a proper look at the kid and nearly has a heart attack from pure shock, seeing that Chen-Shi returned rocking the blue cloak and holding the dungeon's legendary purple staff. The spy loses his mind seeing that both the cloak and legendary staff dropped on the kid's very first attempt, freezing up on the comms while Manhwa asks what is going on, telling the young lady that Chen-Shi just soloed the cave in 23 minutes and already jumped back in, walking out completely stacked with rare boss drops. In the middle of her forest hunt, the prodigy girl almost chokes hearing that crazy news over the radio, unable to fathom how anyone could solo an entire full-party dungeon in just 23 minutes, keeping in mind that even with veterans carrying her, she barely reached level 2 while he hit level 5, feeling like the gap between them is unreal and wondering how on earth the guy pulled off such a feat, since on paper a level 5 shadow mage would only have 2 skeletons with a painful cooldown, finding that leveling speed to be the most bizarre and unbelievable thing in the world. Meanwhile, in the dungeon lobby, the stream of hunters keeps flowing between the portals, with the masked informant scratching his head wondering how anyone can stand soloing dungeons all day, while Chen-Shi has a blast breeze clearing everything and decides to farm until dinner time. Then dusk settles in, and once again our main character steps out triumphant from the dungeon, leaving the spy terrified as he reports that Chen-Shi cleared the dungeon in 16 minutes and hit level 8. With the young man stretching out satisfied after wrapping up his hunting grind for the day, while Manhwa lets her subordinate know over the comms that he can rest because she's already in the area. Chen Shi strolls down the street in the late afternoon, opening his floating system menu, admiring his inventory packed full of blue and purple gear ready to be sold at the auction house, placing his finger over a special scroll, pulling out the item filled with high expectations. Opening the ancient map and recognizing that this is the real golden jackpot of the day. This is the level 10 Fragmented Realm Pact, which grants access to god-tier loot and rivers of experience. Wondering who he could bring along as a partner to enter the secret map, when Zhang Minwei pops up right in front of him, claiming it's just a huge coincidence they bumped into each other, with our guy instantly guessing the masked spy belonged to her family since he had already realized he was being watched, offering to team up tomorrow with a 70% loot split for her and 30% for him, leaving the girls shocked upon recognizing the legendary Fragmented Realm scroll. Listening to Chen Shi calmly say that if she doesn't want it, he'll just go find another hunter, but the young woman accepts the offer right away without thinking twice, agreeing to meet up the next day before sprinting down the street totally hyped, leaving Chen Shi utterly baffled, thinking she ran off, afraid he might back out of the deal. The next day, the students gather at the academy for orientation during their first month after awakening, marking the most anticipated day of all with the official unveiling of the rookie rankings, while Chen Shi walks through the main gate with his backpack on and an unbothered attitude, right as a luxury car pulls up, dropping off the noble family at the school. Inside the ride, Zhang Minwei's father asks how her progress toward level 5 went, to which the girl answers she's already at level 5 with 80% experience stacked up, making the veteran smile proudly, thinking his daughter definitely secured first place in the class. But she thinks about level 8 Chen Shi and knows damn well catching that monster is impossible, telling her dad she's going hunting with a friend today and dismissing the family bodyguards, with the man mentioning he'll be in the auditorium evaluating the top rankers for the Destiny Pact. While the young woman heads into school, knowing her dad is going to get a massive reality check when he sees who is leading the board. Inside the packed auditorium, students chatter non-stop, betting that Zhang Minwei will top the board, with Xingwei and Shin Lucy sitting side by side wearing cocky smiles, until the rich brat turns his eyes and spots Chen Shi walking down the auditorium aisle, mockingly asking what level the boy is at, only to be completely ignored by our main character, bragging out loud that he and Lucy already hit level 4 during their hunt, while Chen Shi calmly takes a seat a few rows ahead without giving a damn, simply replying that the official ranking is about to start and everyone will see the truth shortly, to which Xingwei scoffs, saying the board only shows the top 30 and the kid won't even show up, keeping his arrogant attitude as the school directors begin stepping onto the stage. Principal Li Mingchen and Chief Deacon Zhang Zhangzhang are welcomed with applause from the audience, making the students whisper about how the prodigy girl's father came in person to attend the event, while our boy warns Seek Wei that the superiors took their seats, and if he wants to talk trash, he should save it for later, with the rich punk grumbling that at least the kid has some awareness of his place. Silence takes over the grand hall as the principal takes the microphone in front of everyone, officially welcoming the students to their first general assembly following the awakening, stating that no class is inferior and urging them to focus on training regardless of their rank, acknowledging that the rookie leaderboard is the most anticipated moment for everyone in the room, deciding to end the suspense and display the results on the massive stage screen, with the rankings being projected right before the audience's eager eyes. Xingwei celebrates wildly after taking 22nd place, and Lucy landing in 21st, telling Chen Shi he'll never be able to hold his head up high around him again. But up on the stage, Zhang Zhangxiong widens his eyes in pure disbelief upon seeing his daughter in second place, while Zhang Minwei looks at Chen Shi from afar, confirming what she already knew, sparking a deafening uproar in the crowd, with nobody understanding who could have surpassed a hidden class, leaving the girl's father troubled as he realizes she already knew she wouldn't take the top spot, while Xingwei keeps laughing at Chen Shi, assuming the guy couldn't even break past level 1. The principal takes the mic with a smile and explains why the number 1 spot was kept a secret, announcing that for the first time in the city's history, a rookie reached level 8 in a single day, snapping his fingers with flair to reveal the photo of the year's true phenomenon, projecting Chen Shi's picture at the absolute top as a level 8 shadow mage, leaving the entire auditorium stunned, unable to process what they are seeing, until the entire room erupts into shouts of shock, seeing a common class crushing all the prodigies, making Xingwei clutch his head in panic, screaming desperately that the system has to be glitched, while Chen Lucy clenches her trembling hands in her lap with her chest tightening in deep regret, looking back devastated after realizing she bet on the wrong partner and lost the real monster, with the auditorium falling into pure chaos around Chen Shi, who sits totally chilled out in his chair, while Xingwei sweats cold staring at the boy, unable to accept reality. The students keep pointing, unable to understand how a simple shadow mage hit level 8, saying that leveling up at such an absurd pace completely defies the world's logic, asking if any student in the academy's history had ever pulled off such a feat on their first day, with others noting that level 6 was already extremely rare and level 7 had never happened before, while the stage screen displays Chen Shi at the absolute top amidst the deafening roar of the crowd. Principal Li Mingqian smiles satisfied, acknowledging the talent of the student with the highest spiritual power in the school's history, knowing that not even with an elite guild contract and 4 veteran carries would it be possible to pass level 6. While Chen Lucy burns with jealousy, thinking she would have been in the top 3 if she hadn't dumped the boy, while Chen Shi turns around mockingly praising Jingwei's hard work just to piss him off even more, making the rich boy clench his fists, shaking with rage over being humiliated by a common class, while the principal praises the class, stating that this year is full of massive surprises. On stage, Zhang Xiang watches the boy with a suspicious and thoughtful look, remembering that his daughter spent all day talking about a shadow mage, and already knew she'd lose the top spot, until the principal straightens his tie to proceed with the official assembly protocol, sharing crucial survival tips for the rookies heading out to hunt in dungeons and open zones. While Jiang Menwai listens carefully, resting her chin on her hand, with the head of the school advising students to ask their class teachers any questions, racking up the ceremony and dismissing everyone for practical training. Across the courtyard, students pour out in groups, gossiping endlessly about our protagonist's insane level 8, while Chen Shi walks to the yard alone, hearing hurried footsteps rushing behind him, coming face to face with Chen Lucy, who reaches out eagerly, calling his name, apologizing with a remorseful face for everything she said the day before, turning awkward when the young man cuts her off coldly, asking apologies for what, trying to turn on the charm by suggesting they form a team to hunt together. But Chen Shi shuts her down instantly, saying he already has a dungeon partner, prompting the girl to push further, claiming she only said stupid things yesterday in the heat of the moment, to which our main character claps back, reminding her that she was the one who said they belonged to different worlds, leaving the gold digger frantic upon seeing that he tossed aside everything they had, until Jiang Menwai walks up to his side, asking if the guy plans on swapping partners at the last second, making Chen Lucy's jaw hit the floor when she sees his new partner is the most coveted girl in the academy, while Jiang Menwai tells our guy to get moving without giving the conversation another thought, leaving the ex utterly crushed, watching the two prodigies walk out to the gate together. In a luxury mansion, Singwei reports the whole situation to his father Sing Lu in the living room, with the regular Destiny Pact member sipping his tea while processing the kid's level 8, hearing his son confirm that the official rookie leaderboard never makes mistakes, making the veteran bitterly recall how Zhang Xiang always looked down on him in the guild, putting him on high alert after learning about Jiang Menwai cozying up to the new local genius, dismissing the idea of simple recruitment and betting that there's something far more valuable behind it, stating with total confidence that the girl only approached him because of some special gear Chen Shi is carrying, with Singwei finding it odd since our guy came from the slums and couldn't possibly get god-tier items. But his father explains that hitting level 8 in one day is mathematically impossible even with a full support party, unless the boy possesses some unknown artifact that multiplies experience gain, getting flooded with greed upon concluding this is the only logical explanation, deducing that the treasure is an item with no level requirement that any rookie can equip, making Jingwei hype up over the astronomical value of a relic capable of mass-producing elites, insisting that they need to make a move fast before the Jiang or Ken family seize the item, to which Xing Luo coldly orders a hit on our protagonist to steal the relic for their clan, with the spoiled heir promising to reclaim his honor and put an end to his rival for good. Far away in the Mist Shadow Village ruins, the abandoned landscape is surrounded by wild mountains, where Chen Shi and Jiang Menwai walk on high alert near the zone of the level 13 nightmare moths, with the girl cautiously asking if they really plan to keep heading straight into danger, since the local monsters attack in 20-meter swarms, unleashing paralyzing dust the moment they smell blood. But our guy lets her know that the fragmented realm pact signal is active less than 50 meters away, when someone emerges from the shadows, watching the two teens from afar, prompting the duo to stop in their tracks and look straight toward the ambush, revealing 3 professional assassins armed with daggers, swords, and heavy battle axes, with the mercenaries celebrating how easy the job is after finding the rookies outside the city, saying it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to catch such an isolated target in the middle of nowhere, prompting Chen Shi to ask what they are talking about, to which the hooded leader reveals that the Xing family paid a fortune to take the boy's life, twirling his blade with a sadistic grin, saying it's the kid's bad luck running into them, since the three of them needed quick cash and took the bounty on the spot, leaving the young man curious to learn that the spoiled brat hired hitmen over a simple grudge. Thinking that a guild member like Xingluo would never risk committing a crime over common dungeon drops, since the clan has more than enough money to buy any piece of gear on the market if they wanted, deciding not to waste another second trying to understand the criminal's dumb reasons. Raising his staff, he knows for sure he's going to wipe all three of them out. At the canyon entrance, the two are cornered by the thugs, with Chen Shi noticing that the open terrain puts the two of them at a massive combat disadvantage, when the hooded leader dashes forward at high speed, dual-wielding daggers, appearing right at Jiang Menhua's neck and telling the girl to get her hands off the communicator, threatening to slit the young woman's throat on the spot if she dares try calling for backup, to which she tries to intimidate the thug by warning that she's the daughter of Zhang Zhangsheng from the Destiny Pact, making his two accomplices exchange glances through the misty forest. But the hooded leader bursts out laughing, saying that if he buries them both here, nobody will ever uncover the crime. Chen Shi raises his hand, calling for calm, knowing that in a digitized world erasing bodies and logs is way too easy, with the leader mocking him, thinking the kid is about to offer a bribe or bed for his life. But our guy drops the perfect bait, proposing they head into the secluded canyon where the secret scroll will open the dungeon, making the assassin's eyes gleam with greed upon realizing the boy has a fragmented realm pact, with the big brute laughing out loud, thinking the kid is picking his own grave to save them the trouble, ordering the two to walk ahead at dagger point without trying any funny business along the way, while our main character plays along, knowing that in the open field he couldn't match the assassin's speed, leaving Jiang Menghua totally confused, seeing the boy walk straight into a narrow dead end. The group marches in a line, entering the cracks, shrouded in thick gray fog, when a level 13 demon moth flies straight toward them, prompting the masked swordsman to draw his blade, slicing the winged monster clean in half with a single attack, tossing the creature's carcass at the feet of Chen Shi, who watches closely, praising their insane damage and making the heavy brute brag that the three of them are level 18 assassins, leaving our protagonist confident, knowing that with the right terrain and his skills the level gap means nothing, while the girl panics, thinking it's absolute madness to take on three level 18 veterans at once. They push deeper into White Mist Canyon, surrounded by towering cliff walls, when the silhouette of a beast appears at the top of the rocks, letting out a howl that echoes throughout the rocky valley, leaping down toward the group of intruders, revealing a dangerous level 15 mist-tail fox charging right at the hooded leader, who barely dodges the pounce, making room for the brute to jump in with his dual battle axes, combining his strike with the assassin's daggers piercing into the beast's back, bringing the wounded fox down under the weight of the duo's successive strikes, taking a flying kick from the big guy, finishing the monster with an axe cleave that ends the fight, allowing our main character to realize that against level 15 monsters they already need multiple hits to kill. The hooded leader loses his patience and demands the exact coordinates of the dungeon, with our guy pointing toward a narrow 20-meter crevice surrounded by tall rocks with no way out, making the criminals grin, thinking they struck gold, to kill both teens and claim all the loot, rushing excitedly into the back of the alley without suspecting the trap laid out for them, leaving Chen Shi with a mocking smirk across his face as they walked right into his trap like total fools. Raising his staff, he channels more mana, making the weapon crystal glow with dark magic as he summons his troops, summoning skeletons that seal off the only exit out of the crevice, catching the attention of the assassins, who turn around startled by the noise, unable to understand why this kid is summoning the undead in the middle of nowhere, while Jiang Menhua watches in surprise, not getting Chen Shi's strategy, making the mercenary trio burst out laughing, thinking two skinny skeletons are going to save him, mocking the rookie's desperate attempt at defense in the face of death, to which Chen Shi flashes a sadistic smile, warning that he's not going to fight, just send all three of them straight to hell. He lets them know with total calm that he won't waste time trading blows with the trio, declaring he's shipping the thugs to the afterlife right then and there, while the criminals laugh in his face, with the heavy brew mocking the kid's guts, saying the level gap is an insurmountable wall, while the leader scoffs, thinking taking out three veterans at once is just a rookie's foolish fantasy. Jiang Menghua grows anxious, thinking her partner has lost his mind for challenging such strong assassins, but Chen Shi calmly tells the girl to take a step back and leave it to him, raising his bone staff high and releasing a dense surge of dark magic through the canyon, making the mercenaries uneasy as they watch the magical energy multiply out of control, with dozens of armored soldiers rising from the ground one after another at blazing speed, driving the assassin leader into a panic as he realizes the sheer scale of this madness, revealing a literal living tide of armed skeletons pecking every single inch of the dead end. The trio falls into absolute shock, unable to fathom how a simple rookie spell can summon this many troops, with the leader screaming in terror to kill Chen Shi at all costs before it's too late. While Jiang Minwei finally understands how the boy managed to steamroll the party dungeon with this infinite army, watching the three thugs sprint full speed at our protagonist in a desperate charge, but the young man points his staff forward, activating Corpse Explosion without hesitation, making his soldiers surge forward like living bombs to cut off the enemies in their path, setting off a red sea of fire and shrapnel that shreds the assassin's health bars, ordering his troops to keep marching forward without giving them an inch of breathing room, with even more summons triggering the blast, causing an overwhelming chain of explosions that shakes the entire mountain, leaving the mercenaries screaming in agony, seeing they are about to be ripped apart alive by the blasts. In the middle of the chaos, the masked swordsman uses a leap skill to escape the flames, activating his Shadow Strike skill, aiming straight for our main character's neck, making Jiang Minwei scream out in panic, warning her partner about the incoming attack, with the assassin plunging both blades into our main character's chest, flashing a sadistic grin, thinking he managed to finish the kid with that strike, but Chen Shi's health bar stays completely full without dropping a single point, leaving the thug in pure panic, unable to comprehend how the kid took a lethal blow without taking any damage, unleashing a triple thrust in desperation, trying to pierce the young man's chest no matter what, but the blades just hit his chest without leaving a single scratch on our protagonist, while one of the skeletons behind him shatters to the ground, absorbing all the damage from the attack, with Chen Shi mocking his enemy's weakness thanks to the Soul-Pact Guardian trait, gripping the shoulder of the mercenary who tries to pull back, terrified upon realizing the kid is a monster, surrounding the intruder with several skeletal soldiers about to detonate, triggering a point-blank blast right into the swordsman's chest, launching the thug's body through the air as his swords clatter onto the stone floor, making the man crash dead into the dust without the slightest chance of survival. Chen Shi turns his back on the corpse and glares at the remaining hooded leader cornered against the wall, asking him coldly whether he prefers to fight to the death or drop to his knees right now, making the bandit drop to his knees in sheer panic, begging for his life and offering all the cash he has, pleading with open hands to hand over all his gear in exchange for mercy, to which Chen Shi flashes a terrifying smile, pointing out that if he kills him, all the loot is already his anyway. He then asks with irony if the bandit would have let him walk away if the roles were reversed, to which the assassin leader nods frantically on his knees, promising he would with his hands pressed together, prompting our main character to scowl instantly, telling him coldly that he despises liars, blowing up the final mercenary with a corpse explosion that vaporizes the target without leaving a trace. The young man takes a deep breath while the system magic bar recovers some of his mana, raising his staff to summon a brand new front line of skeletons, warning the girl that firefoxes could ambush them at any moment in this canyon, calling Jiang Minwei over to help count all the loot left by the corpses as agreed, crouching down to open the pouch of gold coins tossed on the grass, finding 85,000 gold coins along with 20 purple gear pieces and 5 blue pieces, leaving his partner feeling completely dwarfed by the insane wealth and power of this common mage, with Chen Shi excitedly calculating the total hit 150,000 coins and offering her 45,000, but the girl turns it all down with a wave of her hand, saying the gold should stay entirely with him, insisting that he keep all the assassin's gear as a thank you gift for saving her life, making our main character agree happily, proposing that in the fragmented realm she takes the experience and he takes the loot. The duo continues walking along the trail, pushing forward between the high cliffs cloaked in thick mountain mist, when Jiang Minwei screams out, warning of a surprise attack coming from atop the rocks, with a flameless tail fox lunging down toward the young man, who doesn't even bother dodging and just orders his skeletons to detonate right on top of the beast, leaving the beast lying on the ground completely scorched while he continues on his way, having the undead clean out every single level 10 wild monster that crosses their path, leaving the girl so shocked she almost asks how on earth he can be this broken, but deciding to bite her tongue out of respect for her companion's class secrets, hiding her amazement and quickening her pace to open the dungeon right away, even though the difficulty of the level 10 fragmented realm equals a full party dungeon. The young woman realizes that Chen Shi only invited her to meet the 2-player minimum requirement for the party, feeling like pure dead weight brought along just to fill his slot on the team, until 10 minutes later, the boy finds the exact coordinates and activates the portal screen, opening a dimensional rift, with the girl saying she completely trusts his lead, so the two of them step through the portal, Once inside the dungeon, Yang Ming-wai is surprised to spot level 10 black armored rockhounds. Knowing that the fragmented realm spawns randomized monsters with just one boss and several regular minions, warning her partner that although slow, these beasts have heavy defense and devastating charges, to which our protagonist waves his hand dismissively, saying that makes zero difference. Summoning his army of broken skeleton warriors, forming a wall of undead against the stonehounds, as the monstrous creature roars, trying to intimidate the undead horde, while our main character flashes a confident grin, giving the order to wipe out the enemy. The basic attacks from the skeletons don't even leave a scratch on the hound's rock armor. Yang Ming-wai wants to jump in and help, but our guy tells her it's not necessary, leaving the girl pouting, thinking she's being treated like complete dead weight in the dungeon, while Chen Shi raises his staff, pointing at the monsters, and triggers corpse explosion, making the skeletons charge in and detonate against the beast's body, shattering the beast's stone plates into tiny pieces with the area of effect magic damage, teasing his partner, telling her to sit back and enjoy the carry since she gave up the loot. A chain reaction of explosions tears through the entire canyon, wiping all the monsters off the map, generating notifications on screen confirming 180 experience points per kill, leaving both teens with their jaws on the floor, unable to believe the insane amount of points stacking up, celebrating that the gain is 3 times higher than normal and 6 times faster than open field hunting, with experience alerts popping up non-stop on the interface as the creatures get obliterated, while Chen Shi commands his troops, easily clearing a path through the canyon, leaving the floor littered with over 10 pieces of blue gear and even a valuable purple item, which despite being heavy armor are going to fetch a fortune when sold at the auction house. Suddenly, Zhang Menwai feels a warm surge of energy rushing through her entire body, which levels the girl up to level 6, flashing a bright smile from ear to ear, receiving hyped congratulations from our main character, thanking him from the bottom of her heart for the party invite, even though she did nothing in combat, with Chen Shi returning the warmth by remembering she was the only one willing to tag along on his journey. A while later, the two reach the end of the valley, spotting the boss arena, coming face to face with the level 15 Mastiff King lying across the canyon sand. The creature rises for battle, prompting the boy to send his entire legion on the offensive, with the troops marching in and triggering corpse explosion, setting off multiple blasts against the boss, making the monster rage even harder as it takes the hits, activating rock armor condensation and a destructive howl that shatters several skeletons, creating a protective shield layer as thick as the monster's original health bar itself. But our main character remains confident, knowing his explosions can crack any armor, ordering fresh waves of troops to swarm the monster's back and legs without letting up, detonating violent chains of focus damage that tear the shell apart, making the creature bleed and whimper in pain as the stone plates crash to the ground, which ends up easily getting taken down by this overpowered skill. Then a new exit portal opens up to leave the dungeon, granting 500 experience points for the boss kill to his party partner, while the duo stares in awe at the rare loot dropping in, which includes 2 blue pieces, 2 purple pieces of gear, and a pile of gold coins, along with a magnificent golden chestplate featuring a carved lion emblem in the center, making Chen Shi celebrate wildly over the gold-grade item that can easily fetch 100,000 coins at auction, stepping through the portal alongside Zhang Menwai to return to the city. Far away at the Sing family mansion, the atmosphere is tense, with Sing Wei trying to calm his father, saying the 3 hitmen just turned off their communicators, but Xing Luo is immediately suspicious, finding it absurd that all mercenaries went dark at the same time, refusing to believe that a level 8 kid and a rookie girl could defeat 3 experienced assassins, leading his son to suggest the thugs betrayed the clan to run off with the no-level requirement experience relic, leaving the patriarch furious, swearing to tear the 3 traitors into 10,000 pieces in the wind, until the butler bursts into the hall shouting that Chen Shi and Zhang Menwai returned alive without a single scratch, leaving father and son frozen in shock by this unbelievable news, with Xinglu boiling with rage upon realizing his elite assassins failed miserably on their mission. Then Jingwei realizes in terror that if Shen Shi came back alive, the 3 assassins were either wiped out or fled, with his father saying the greatest danger now is the leak of hiring mercenaries against an official hunter, ordering a pause on their plans for now while closely monitoring the news to uncover every detail of what happened. Meanwhile, at the Jiang family mansion, where Jiang Mengwai happily enters the living room, greeting Uncle Luo, who dropped by for a visit, revealing the presence of Luofan, an elite member from the Central Destiny Pact Association, prompting the girl's father to raise his voice, demanding to know where his daughter vanished all day. To which the young lady proudly replies that she went hunting with a friend and already hit level 6, receiving praise from Uncle Luo, who was impressed by her progress on day 2. But Zhang Zhengxiang asks his daughter to wait in the corner since they have serious matters to discuss, making the girl sit on the sofa and open a book pretending she's not paying attention, crossing her legs while following the serious talk between the two veterans, wondering to herself whether she should tell her dad and Uncle Luo about Chen Shi's insane powers. Luofan explains that the level 60 Black Dragon Mountain Range dungeon and the national war are top priorities, with Zhang Zhengsheng pointing out that all countries are suffering heavy casualties trying to clear the raid, to which the guest laments that Country A claimed the first victory because the hero Luo Zhening suddenly fell ill, leaving the girl's father worried about the enemy's edge once they equip their armies with dragon weapons. Since Country C has been locked out of the top 3 for 3 consecutive years and risks losing more national resources, leaving a heavy and concerning silence hanging in the room, with Zheng Zheng dreadily offering to head to the capital and help lead the strike team. But Luofan declines, saying it is not worth throwing human lives away like their rivals did to win. Hearing that Zhang Menwai pictures Chen Shi commanding his endless legion of soldiers, calculating that just this skeleton combo with corpse explosion already outdamages an entire raid party, thinking about the massive impact the boy would have on the nation if he keeps leveling this fast all month, suddenly asking what kind of treatment someone would get if they could solo the Black Dragon raid and change the war, making both men turn around in disbelief, stating that a single person could never decide a global conflict, with her father telling her to stop daydreaming because not even the hidden class can solo a raid dungeon. But the young woman presses on, wanting to know what kind of national honors such a hypothetical prodigy would receive, prompting Luofan to tap his fingers on the coffee table as he seriously considers the question, assuring her that the country would pour all its resources into him with state honors and total freedom across borders. Watching the girl slam the book shut immediately and dash out to go level up without wasting a second, leaving the two veterans staring at the door completely clueless about her sudden rush. Meanwhile, back in the Ice Cave dungeon lobby, where our protagonist takes on the dungeon hard mode surrounded by dozens of skeletons battling monsters, with hours flying by from a sunny midday into the late afternoon as our boy continues his crazy grind, stacking up repeated 80 experience point bonuses from the flawless kills by his troops, until the system screen lights up with the official confirmation that he hit the coveted level 10. Chen Shi celebrates standing beside the giant ice dungeon boss carcass, seeing a purple-grade magic boot perfect for mages drop to the floor as a kill reward, equipping the new enchanted footwear, opening the panel to unlock his very first crowd control skill called Underworld Claw, discovering that Underworld Claw roots enemies for 3 seconds and has a crowd control effect that stacks infinitely, making Chen Shi realize that the true secret of a supreme mage is not just burst damage but total control of the fight, since with 0 cooldown he can endlessly refresh the bindings, keeping targets paralyzed until they turn to dust. Right then, the system announces the unlock of the golden trait Hand of Infinity, which increases spell range with every single monster killed, making the kid dream big about stacking kills until he can obliterate cities and bosses from thousands of kilometers away, knowing that clearing just a few more dungeons will easily expand his cast range to hundreds of meters, flashing a devilish smirk, imagining the insane havoc he will wreak upon the monsters. He raises a staff in the ice dungeon, declaring that the moles picked a perfect place to die, with skeletons slicing through entire hordes and stacking 80 experience point drops on screen, advancing all the way to the main chamber, where the colossal Ice Mole King emerges, with our protagonist smiling and greeting the boss like an old friend, extending his hand charged with dark magic to cast Underworld Claw, making dark tendrils erupt from the ice, pinning the big boss down without giving it a chance to react, spamming the skill repeatedly until dozens of black claws wrap around the beast's body, leaving the monster panicked and completely locked in place, while Chen Shi moves forward commanding a combined assault from his legion, with the summons encircling the immobilized boss from every angle, and triggering corpse explosion, unleashing a fiery red hell that tears the monarch to shreds in seconds. The screen confirms hard mode victory and shows his magic range expanded to 314 meters, with our guy cheering that at this range not even snipers can touch him before dropping dead, thinking that if he ran into those 3 assassins again he would wipe them out with ease. So he decides to go grab something to eat after the heavy grind. Later at the city auction house, our main character heads in to sell the gear he hoarded over the past few days, pocketing 220,000 gold coins at the terminal, and deciding to save the cash for later, knowing his leveling pace is way too fast and it makes more sense to buy top-tier gear at higher levels. He arrives at the orphanage with a smile on his face, letting the caretaker know he is back, receiving fresh oranges picked from the orchard while the sweet lady warmly tells him to eat well, getting a gentle pat on the cheek as she tells him to head up to his room to rest, tossing himself onto the bed fruit in hand while unwinding after a wild day, reflecting that with the trait system his common class can utterly crush any hidden class, rolling on the mattress hyped and promising to grow strong enough to fight alongside Mr. Luo. Suddenly, a sound at the window makes the boy sit up startled in bed, coming face to face with Jiang Mingwei climbing through his window ledge late at night, with our protagonist deadpanning that hidden class skills are not meant for scaling walls, as the girl steps into his room, complimenting how surprisingly clean the room is compared to the usual messy boy bedroom, to which Chen-Shi crosses his arms asking for the real reason behind the surprise visit, growing curious when the girl asks if he would like to serve his country, hearing her explain that this means officially joining the Destiny Pact Association, with Jiang Menwei offering her father's influence to boost his growth with exclusive national resources. Our main character reflects that his power comes from traits and exposing such abnormal power too early could be a mistake, thanking the girl for the invitation but turning down the idea of moving from the orphanage to a luxury home, stating warmly that this shelter is his true home where he grew up and was cared for, making Jiang Menwei wave her hands frantically apologizing for wording it poorly, warning that the Xing family will plot another hit, and that he is vulnerable without active summons in his room, and warning that the national war is approaching and Gil hero Lu Jianing has fallen gravely ill, making the young man surprised to hear Uncle Luo's name mentioned in the conversation, asking anxiously what illness the hero contracted, and learning that rival nations took advantage of the situation, deciding on the spot to head to the mansion, meet her father and Uncle Luo and offer his aid to the country, with Jiang Menwei grabbing his hands excited telling the boy to pack his bags right away, pulling the young man along into the night, promising to have the kitchen prepare a feast to recharge his energy. Back at the Jiang family mansion, where the two veterans drown their sorrows in drinks until the young lady's voice interrupts dinner, making Jiang Zhongzhang and Lufan turn around and freeze in shock seeing Chen-Shi standing in the hall, with her father instantly getting suspicious thinking his daughter brought a boyfriend home in the dead of night, while our boy awkwardly greets the host as he gets introduced by his classmate, leaving the man crying on the inside out of jealousy thinking his little girl grew up and found a partner, making Chen-Shi break into a cold sweat feeling like a wild boar about to ruin the farmer's prized crop, until the patriarch tells the kid to take a seat still wondering why the girl brought him over so late, reminding Lufan of that student with 150 spiritual power from 2 years ago, making the guests connect the dots and realize the test prodigy is the exact young man sitting before them, with Uncle Luo teasing whether this visit was the formal boyfriend introduction to the family, leaving Jiang Menwei blushing bright red as she tells her uncle to cut out the nonsense, making room for our protagonist to state that he wants to join the Destiny Pact Association. Zhang Shang crosses his arms explaining the general exam is in 1 month and he cannot guarantee a spot to just anyone, when his daughter drops the bomb revealing that Chen-Shi already reached level 10 2 hours ago, with our protagonist confidently assuring them that he is completely different from other shadow mages, to which the leader fires back that leveling speed alone is not enough to justify choosing a common class, prompting the boy to wield his ice marrow bone staff to demonstrate what he can do in practice, hearing the rattling teeth of the first skeletal warriors materializing in the room, with the veteran claiming that a basic summon of 2 skeletons proves absolutely nothing, hearing Chen-Shi and his daughter smile and say this is merely the appetizer of the banquet, as dozens of armored skulls start rising around the 2 startled men, with our protagonist staring down the leaders in the center of the hall, revealing hundreds of armed soldiers blanketing every single inch of the dining room floor, with Jiang Mingwei spreading her arms wide proudly showcasing the true monster she discovered. Chen-Shi explains that his skills have 0 cooldown, and he can summon infinitely as long as he has mana, making the 2 veterans jump up in shock upon hearing about spells with 0 cooldown, with Jiang Zhongzhang pushing his way through the sea of bones to get close to the kid, asking if he could summon abyss skeletal dragons endlessly in the future and getting a clear yes, while Chen-Shi reaches out his hand and projects his system screen before the leader's eyes, showing the 3 golden traits he unlocked and explaining how his unique power tree works, leaving both men breathless upon seeing the 100% damage transfer that makes him practically immortal, with Lufan pointing with a trembling hand at the infinite range already reaching 314 meters, making Zhongzhong clutch his head short-circuiting as he tries to process such an anomaly. He slaps his own face twice to make sure he is not hallucinating, rubbing his stinging cheeks while his daughter teases that her dad had too much to drink at dinner, with the man gripping Chen Shi's shoulders, drilled, calculating that his magic range will eventually span thousands of kilometers, making Lo Fan agree hype that an infinite army of skeletal dragons could wipe the Black Dragon raid alone, asking if anyone else knows this secret and hearing from the boy that only the three of them present know his power, prompting Luo Fan to rush out and contact the top brass of the guild before rival nations find out and try to assassinate him, while Jing Zhengxiong tells our protagonist to rest up and await the orders arriving first thing in the morning. Now let's head to the towers of the Destiny Pact's central headquarters, where the country's biggest powerhouses gather in a rush emergency meeting inside the conference hall, with President Xiao Tiantua at level 63 leading the table and asking where rookie Chen Shi is. To which Zheng Zhengxiang explains he sent 4 holy knights to secretly guard the boy at the school assembly, leaving Fa Xiang of the 1st Division anxious to know what kind of noble brat needs this much security, while Zhuang Mixi of the 2nd Division finds it strange that the kid in question is just an academy freshman, with Qin Shuer of the 3rd Division reminding everyone that international portals were locked on high alert for this boy, making Fa Xiang shout ready to mobilize his entire division in case a war is about to pop off, until the president calls for calm, letting everyone know the student ceremony is almost wrapped up. In the school lobby, students remain floored by our protagonist's level 10 and fight for his attention, while Chen Lucy tugs on Xingwei's arm, frantic after dropping 5 spots in the race for guild slots, regretting swapping our guy for the rich heir and getting confronted by the brat on whether she regrets it, quickly hiding her panic and swearing loyalty so she won't lose the clan's financial backing, while Chen Shi and Zhang Mingwei stroll down the hallway side by side without giving a single damn about them, with the young woman playfully nudging his ribs, asking if he's not going to say hi to his little girlfriend, to which the boy fires back saying she is an ex-girlfriend, getting a teasing smile from his partner. Shortly after, Chen Shi steps into the guild conference room facing the intense stares of the captains, breaking into a cold sweat, feeling like a caged animal being sized up by apex predators, with division leaders crowding around the kid to inspect the legendary prodigy up close, while Lo Fan channels golden mana into the door to seal the room with maximum security, deploying a magic barrier that cancels out any outside eavesdropping attempts, explaining that this meeting will map out the boy's growth plan and his role in the national war. Captain Zhuguang Mixi approaches with a sweet smile, calling Chen Shi little brother and offering a gift, reaching her arm into a glowing blue spatial rift right before our protagonist's curious eyes, pulling out a crystal box with no level requirement that grants 100 intelligence and stores summons, explaining that storing a skeleton inside ensures it will instantly absorb surprise ambush damage, leaving Chen Shi deeply moved by such a precious item while the president tells him to equip it immediately, prompting the boy to express his thanks, calling the gorgeous veteran big sister, when Priestess Qin Shuer steps forward offering the legendary no-level requirement Lumen Ring, sliding the jewel onto his finger, adding 400 intelligence points and surpassing level 30 mages, while Fa Xiang apologizes for wearing heavy gear and promises to take the boy out for a fun night, getting smacked on the head by the priestess's staff forbidding him from teaching bad habits amidst widespread laughter. The president taps the table, bringing back total seriousness to the strategic council, warning that Chen Shi's abilities must remain strictly confidential, and his leveling kept low profile, with all 3 captains immediately volunteering to handle the vanguard, support, and training for the kid, guaranteeing they will grant priority access to the finest treasures in the nation's arsenal, knowing that in all of world history there has never been an awakened class as terrifying as Chen Shi, ordering the daily use of platinum party contracts to negate level difference penalties, with Zhuang Mixi committing to supply all special training scrolls, while the president points at Chen Shi promising to make the guild invitation official in 1 month. And that brings us to the end of the available chapters. So, if you enjoyed it and want to see the next part, be sure to drop a like and leave a comment.